It is 7:30. I've been up since 6 a.m. about, so I'm a little tired. The weather in Paris right now is a little bit chaotic, a little bit weird. And the train is interrupting my train of thoughts. Incredible. We love that. Whatever, just pretend it's not there. Just like the rest of your problems. As I was saying, I wanted to take it down a notch today because I just don't have the energy. And so we're gonna do like a chill, easy video. So, you know, grab... Did I just spill that over myself? Yes, I did. Grab a coffee, grab a tea. Thank God it was tea and not coffee. A snack maybe. You're gonna be here for a while. I hope not too long, but again, I have a tendency to talk too much. But I mean, you're here, so you already knew that and you just don't care. We're gonna be doing unpopular opinions, perfume editions, and yes, I am late to the trend. No, I do not care. Because if you know me, you know I like to take my time. This is why this video idea and like everything about it has been ready for like 6 months and I just never got around to it. Taking our time today. But at least we're doing something. You know, I have a lot of opinions. This is kind of like who I am as a person. If you have any of your own unpopular opinions, feel free to just drop them in the comments. About fragrance, please. Let's not steer too far from the topic. We're gonna start strong. We're gonna start with a bang. Number 1. Vanilla is to the fragrance world what denim is to fashion. By that I mean there are quite a few masterpieces, but there's a lot of unremarkable pieces. I feel like it's also like that with vanilla. I don't hate vanilla. I like it. I'm particular about my vanillas. I like them deep, I like them strong, I like them with character. I like them to feel like intentional, if you get what I mean. Like you want it to work with vanilla, not just because it's a people pleaser, because you actually want it to do something with the notes, beautify it, something. I dislike the way it is used in like mainstream perfumery nowadays, at least. I don't know how it was before, wasn't there. Because I feel like for some of the perfumes that are like really vanilla centered, vanilla heavy, it's just a very bland vanilla. That specific vanilla note that I don't like, I call it like not vanilla but vanilla cream, you know, like vanilla yogurt type of scent. I'm just not really into it. And it's everywhere. And it's just, vanilla can be such a beautiful, captivating note when it's just boiled down to the most, you know, I guess crowd-pleasing, beige version of itself. It bugs me. It bothers me. What also bothers me is when it's added in every and any fragrance just as a way to like sweeten it up a little and again make it crowd-pleasing, because sometimes it just, you can tell that it doesn't really belong there. Like it's only there to make it more marketable, not because it adds anything to the scent. Not every scent needs vanilla. Stop adding vanilla to everything and stop making the scents boring. My favorite vanilla so far is Spiritueuse Double Vanille by Guerlain. I think that one is like, you know, a masterpiece. But a vanilla that I find kind of boring and beige, Olympea. And listen, no hate to those who like it. I'm just voicing my opinion and explaining why I think the way I think. If you like to wear these, great, good on you. Another fragrance that features that note and it bothers me. C Intense, the previous version, not the current version. And it's not even about like price point either, because I found some beautiful vanillas. Vanilla, whether it was vanilla centered or fragrances featuring vanilla even in the background, that were absolutely phenomenal. And one of those I bought for $8.95. So it's not necessarily about price point either. And I feel the same about aquatic notes in like men's fragrance, or you know, like male targeted fragrances. It's like, it just feels like a cop-out. You don't know what to put out, just put like aquatic marine notes in there. It smells mineral and manly. And it's like, okay, we get it. I'm bored. Just, please have a little bit of creativity. Even in the designer world, I'm begging you. Number 2, fruity sweet over candy sweet any day. Personally, I'd go for the one that's like more fruity than like candy gourmandy, right? Because I can't stand those. And there are lots of fragrances that are not even like specifically gourmand or anything like that, but like they smell good, but I cannot wear them, and I don't even like to smell them because all the notes are like, it smells good, but it's drowned under a thick like coat of like sugary, sweet, syrupy candy sweetness. I've said so many words that mean the exact same thing, but you get what I mean, like this feeling of like just like it's sticky and it just overpowers everything. La Vie Est Belle, La Nuit, Trésor, Girl of Now to an extent, Good Girl, Carolina Herrera. I mean, I hate this one for many reasons, but one of them, it's too sweet and it's candy sweet. And funny enough, that's coming from someone who likes Angel by Mugler, which is like everything. It is gourmand, it has everything. It has praline, it has chocolate, it has patchouli, and I have an easier time with Angel than I have with like La Vie Est Belle or like Pink Sugar by Aquolina. It's just how I am. Number 3, and this one is not controversial. I hope not. But still, I feel like a lot of people tend to forget that fact, especially like in like the fragrance communities, etc. Pricier does not equal better. It simply doesn't. Yves Rocher is the perfect example of that. You have like such gems that were made by Yves Rocher. Sometimes those brands like Yves Rocher work with world-renowned perfumers. Like Francis Curdigeon has worked with Yves Rocher in the past, like on Yves Rocher fragrances. Adopte, if you live in France, also they have great things, even outside of like the dupes that they make. A lot of the fragrances from them that I have are not dupes, I just like them. And they're quite inexpensive. And I'm not saying that all cheapies are great, but price is not necessarily an indicator. Of course it can be, because you know, a lot of work, good ingredients, it takes time, it takes money, so it's gonna be more expensive. What I'm saying is, sometimes you pay for the craftsmanship, sometimes you pay for the name. My example of that, no hate to that brand and any, you know, fragrance that they make, I think they're good. But I personally, the reason why I never even put any Jo Malones on my wish list is because all the reviews I was watching were telling me those are great. They, however, do not last. Which, you know, partially because they're haute cologne. And first of all, how are you going to sell an haute cologne upwards of like 100, 200 euros? Une haute cologne? I mean, really? No. Am I really gonna shell out 200 plus euros on a perfume that is great but does not last? No. No. Absolutely not. I've also heard that Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, great fragrance, does not last. And sometimes it's not even about lasting, it's about like the quality of the scent, etc, etc. Just those examples I had in mind at the moment. Another example I did not mention, and that has nothing to do with lasting power, is Attrape-Rêves by Louis Vuitton. In the sense that I smelled it once, and I've smelled probably 100 fragrances that smell just like it. It's fruity, it's rosy, it's nice, a little screechy in my opinion, but I don't know how expensive it is, but I do know it's expensive, and it is not better in any ways than similar fragrances that I've smelled that retail for like 20 or 25 euros. So you know, price can be an indicator of quality. It is not always. Number 4, you do not actually need like more than like 2 or 3 bottles of perfume. It's not necessary, and it may sound hypocritical from someone who is sitting right in front of a drawer with 20 full bottles and about as many samples, but hear me out. I do it, I like it. The bottles I have here are bottles I can afford or that were gifted to me, right? But you don't need a scent for every single occasion. Sometimes you just need one good signature scent and that's enough. You don't have to, you really don't need to. And honestly, I'd go even as far as saying that even if you are into fragrance and you want to make it a hobby, you know, just like you love watching reviews, you love smelling different things, etc., but you don't want a bunch of fragrance bottles, of full bottles, because, I don't know, it's expensive, it's wasteful, you don't have space. You can definitely partake in this hobby without buying a lot of full bottles, you know, if any. Especially if you're into niche, because quite a few websites provide, you know, with services, you know, when you buy samples. That's what I do when it comes to niche fragrances, because I'm sorry, I'm not about to blind buy something that's over $100. No. So yeah, just buy samples. Fragrance could be one of your hobbies, and you have like 2 perfume bottles, and that's perfectly valid in my mind and in my opinion. Still talking about like money, because why not? It seems like it's on my mind a lot. When you really think about it and you really look, niche is not necessarily, and not always, that much more expensive than classic design. If you want to buy 100 ml of Miss Dior versus 100 ml of, I don't know, an État Libre d'Orange fragrance, you're gonna come up to about the same price. Not all niche is made equal, and some of them are actually just as affordable as your favorite designers. Like, I'm thinking Fragonard, Molinard, those are niche houses. Very old French niche houses. And I can assure you, they are probably maybe more affordable than Dior or Chanel, Guerlain, etc. Like in store. So one of the fragrances recently that I've smelled that is from a niche brand called Imaginary Authors, Sundrunk, 50 ml, 94 euros. And currently, Coucou Mademoiselle, the 50 ml at Sephora is 96 euros. When you look at the price, let's say, okay, Liquide Imaginaire, another brand that I discovered, another niche brand, 100 ml of their fragrance Bloody Wood, really good stuff, 180. You go for 100 ml of La Vie Est Belle, 127 currently on Sephora. Flower Bomb, 50 ml, 111 currently on Sephora. So you see, if you want to get into niche, don't let the whole, oh, but it's more expensive stop you. First of all, you can always get samples, and second of all, not all niche brand is made equal. Frédéric Malle, yes, it's up there, but not all of them are, so there's definitely a price point for everyone, even in niche. And niche isn't inherently better than designer. That's another unpopular opinion. Niche isn't inherently better than designer. I just find it more interesting because they tend to not focus solely on like marketing and what's appealing and what's on trend. They have more freedom in terms of creativity, and that makes it more fun to explore sometimes. Last one, and my last unpopular opinion, I actually have 3 different points in one, is about gender dissociations and fragrance. Okay, hold on. There are several points in this one unpopular opinion, but it pretty much boils down to the same thing, which is I don't like the idea of like very rigid gender associations in fragrance. So the first little like sub point is, number one, when we say unisex, can we actually use that as what it's supposed to mean? And yes, it's semantics, but it's important to me, so we're gonna dive into it. I was watching, you know, I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of TikToks about fragrances, and a lot of times I'll hear unisex, like, yeah, you know, it's like this scent unisex, this scent unisex, and it's always the same type of scent, not in terms of like scent profile, but that's labeled unisex. I'm bothered by the fact every time there's a video talking about unisex scents, it's generally fragrances that are targeted towards men, but you know, it's not too masculine, so even a feminine person can wear it, but it's rarely ever, well, that's a feminine scent, like a feminine targeted scent, but it's not too feminine, so masculine people can wear it as well. I don't know if you catch what I mean. I don't think I'd ever see a perfume like Cara by Cartier in one of those videos because it's marketed towards women, it's a floral, but technically looking at it and smelling it, it's not particularly feminine or masculine, it's pretty unisex, but no one ever talks about it in those terms. My second sub point, again, not, like the opinion itself is not unpopular, and yet somehow I still don't really see it applied in the internet space when talking about fragrance. Scent does not have a gender. Not just fragrances, scent does not have a gender. There are definitely fragrances that read very much feminine or read very masculine. And I'm not saying that those things don't exist and that they don't have, you know, their place in the fragrance world, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, a lot of the time, is it actually feminine or is it just sweet? Is it actually feminine or is it just a floral and, you know, we've, you know, associated only if it's floral, it's feminine, instead of actually looking into what it actually conveys as a message. Is it actually masculine or is it just woody and spicy and strong? Because scents convey emotion. They convey a message, vibes, memories, personality. So, you know, I want to smell more florals on men. I want to smell more variety. We tend to also associate things a little too much to like gender, certain scents and certain notes to gender, and I understand that certain notes, because of the vibe, because of like the message that they convey, because of what those notes exude, are more associated with like femininity or masculinity. I'm cool with that. But I'm saying the list of the notes that are definitely feminine or definitely masculine, however, is not as long as we may think it is. Same way that we have some masculine fragrances that are centered around rose and they're beautiful and super interesting, and we have feminine fragrances centered around leather, I'd like to see the bounds pushed just a little bit. I would like to see a masculine take on Lily of the Valley. Just why not? Let's be creative. Let's make it happen. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying if it does, it's kind of niche and not very widespread and mainstream. Let's have a feminine take on vetiver, centered around vetiver. I'm very much aware of the fact that to do that, you'd most likely have to surround that one note, let's say Lily of the Valley, with other notes that tend to be associated with like masculinity. Same thing if you want to do a feminine vetiver, you're gonna surround your vetiver with a lot of like femininely coded notes. I get that. I get it. I also know that it's probably been done before. I'm not saying I'm inventing anything. I'm not. I'm just expressing an opinion. It's probably been done before. What I want is more of it. Because currently, I don't know, especially in like the mainstream like designer world, I'm not seeing a lot of that. I'm not seeing a lot of that. The only release that was kind of like had this in mind, you know, take lavender, which is used a lot in like fragrances for men, and put it in a fragrance for women and like calling it libre, etc. Was in libre and maybe in also Mon Guerlain, because it was lavender and vanilla. They both were. And there was a lot of talk around that. But aside from this one, have we ever had like, you know, kind of like a fragrance note gender bending thingy? I don't know, but I like to see more of that. And on that note, those were all of my unpopular fragrance opinions. Again, feel free to leave yours in the comments to have like a discussion going, and I'll catch you next time after I've had some sleep, because I'm I'm so tired.